Good morning, everybody. All my YouTubers, all my union workers. Hope everybody having a good day out there. It's a balmy 10 degrees here in Minnesota. Having some issues with I don't know, we're testing some coils, so it's a little bit rough when it's cold like that. But I was thinking about some things with just the outcome of what's been going on. So having confidence is a big thing, and there's a difference between being confident and being cocky. So sometimes I think I come off as being cocky sometimes, but I'm just really kind of confident, and it's really the progression of my training as an apprentice is really starting to show. Like, I can really see how much stuff I've picked up. Just it's like sometimes when I go to school, man, I feel like it's overwhelming the amount of stuff I need to learn, but I usually do good on tests. And I mean, I don't really study that much. I'm the type of person, like, if I study too much, then I'll just be like, I don't want to do none of this no more. So I just kind of just try to take good notes, and maybe I'll review them a little bit if I know we have a test coming up, and I've been doing pretty good so far. But as far as like on the job, I'm starting to notice. So let me start by saying this. So in our union and with this contractor, we have absolute stop work authority. So if you're ever asked to do something that's unsafe or you don't feel comfortable with, you have the authority to say, no, not going to do that. And then it's up to whoever's in charge, whether it be the foreman, the general contractor, whoever, to make it right, to fix it before you go ahead and make it so that you're comfortable doing it. So we had a situation because it's cold. We're trying to do hydro testing, water testing on these coils that we're installing. We had a couple coils freeze up, so they've been trying to figure out what we're going to do because we got to test them. So they came up with the idea yesterday. The general foreman made an announcement, said we're going to go to air testing, which I've done air testing in other jobs. Air testing is a little bit more dangerous than hydro testing, just because you got a bunch of air on pipe. If something happens, it could be a lot worse than water. Air compresses, whereas water doesn't. So when he said we were going to do air testing, I was fine with that. Then he said we're going to be testing them at 25 pounds. So this is kind of getting into the little weeds a little bit, as far as like, this is kind of what we're trained as. But usually when you're testing a system, you want to go at least 1.5 times over the operating pressure. So I believe this pressure that this system is running is like 50 pounds. So 25 pounds is not that much. Now, I've had experience because I've done air testing when I was a first year. When I was second year, I did a bunch of air testing. Usually we would always be testing systems at like 100 pounds. And sometimes when you're air testing, you won't even see a leak till you get up to like 50 to 75 pounds. So 25 pounds didn't seem like it was going to do what we need to do. Like, I didn't feel confident that we were going to find all the leaks. And I asked about it. He said that's what the engineers had said because they're worried about something. I don't know. So I had talked to a journeyman, talked to another, one of the journeymen I'm working with, talked to another one of the foremen, and they also agreed that 25 pounds wasn't enough. Either way, we went and did 25 pounds. It's so cold that the fittings, usually when you do an air test, you spray the fittings wherever when you're looking for leaks, you'll spray them with soapy water. And we mixed in some windshield washer fluid that's supposed to be good down to 20 below with our soap. We're spraying the joints, the pipe's so cold it's instantly turned into like a frosty. So I'm like, we ain't gonna see no bubbles on this. We did find one. We found one union half that wasn't tight on there all the way. Tighten that up. Then we everybody together made the decision that we're gonna go ahead and test at like 75, which it's not really that dangerous, and it's not gonna damage anything, and then we'd have a better chance to be able to find some leaks. So we did that. We were having issues with the gauges because it's so cold. Ended up, we didn't find no leaks. We were having issues. We couldn't really see bubbles, so we ended up just turning the system on. That's what the general foreman wanted. So we turned the system on, fill it up, get all the air out of the system, trying to let it run through. And I kept noticing so when you got a hot water system, you got the hot water comes in the supply, runs through your coils, goes back out the return, back to the return lines, and then goes back, gets reheated by the boilers. That's kind of the loop that a hot water system does. So coming in, the supply because these pipes are not insulated yet. The supply are nice and warm. I would put my hand on them, they're nice and warm. The return was not warm. And I just felt like it should have been warmer than it was. So I kept saying to the journeyman, like, hey, I think there's an issue. Like, I don't think that we're getting flow through here. And checked one of the return valves wasn't open all the way. So I opened that all the way. The journeyman was just saying that, oh yeah, we're just losing that much heat. It's not going to be that warm. It didn't seem right to me. I said it multiple times. Like, I feel like there's something that's not right. So before the end of the day, the general foreman comes up and we're telling him what's going on. He goes and looks and puts his hand on the chill water and says, "You guys ain't got no flow. It should be way warmer than this on the return." Now, I'm not the type of person, I don't want to put the journeyman on blast. Like, I told him this. Like, I'm not nobody telling anybody anything. I'm just make observations and try to put it out there and look for confirmation by somebody that knows more than me. Like, I'm not gonna say I assume knows more than me. I know the journeyman knows more than me. But we did tell him, I said, yeah, I was kind of thinking that same thing. So it turns out there's ice in the valve coming off the return. So whatever, we end up having to drain the whole system down, put some heaters in there. So we're going to deal with it today and see what we can do. But just having the confidence to be able to notice some things and to speak on it, like, that really shows me the progression. And it's never like, I don't try to do it like I got you, like I was right, you were wrong. It's not about that. Like, if I say something and I'm right about it, I take that more as I'm proud that I've soaked up enough information that I have similar knowledge with people that I know more than me. You know, so it's, I don't know where I'm really going with this, but it just kind of seems like you got to really have some confidence to be able to advance your life or advance yourself in the trade or in any kind of job. You have to have some kind of confidence in yourself. And some of that just comes from paying attention and trying to pick up on things and learning as much as you can. You don't want to be that guy that's just always trying to be right all the time. Like, it's not about being right. It's about what can you do to make yourself better. So for me, what makes me feel better is when I know that I'm learning things or I'm catching up, because being a little bit older in the trade, sometimes you feel like you see these young guys that are already journeyman or already foreman, and you kind of feel like, dang, these guys got it all together at a young age. Like, they're set. I'm still learning, and I'm older. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, even when I had told the journeyman some things, he's older. He's about to retire. I told him some things, and he had a different idea, a different opinion. Now, I was right. That doesn't mean that he doesn't know anything. That's not the thing. But just the fact that that I could pick up on that and be able to see. And then when the general foreman came and he agreed, like, that made me feel good. It made me feel like there's some progress happening and I'm learning. And that's kind of one of the good things about being in the trades, is that it's like, there's so many people that have so much different knowledge. There's not one person that's going to know everything. Like, if you work in a regular shop, you're just going to think, oh yeah, my boss, he knows it all, and whatever he says goes. In the trades, it's not like that. A lot of times you'll have somebody who will pick up on something that you didn't think of, and that's like it's almost like we're a dictionary of knowledge. Like, this person might know something, or he might have done something on a job that this person hasn't, or, you know, vice versa. So it's really good for learning. I feel like all the way throughout my career, even as I progress and turn out as a journeyman, and if I can get a foreman spot, like, I always feel like there's something new I can learn and something somebody can teach me, whether it be an apprentice, a first-year apprentice, second-year apprentice, a journeyman, a foreman. If you're always looking for something, you're always going to learn something. And that's one of the positive benefits of being in a trade. And it's just all about having that confidence, man. Like, a lot of the times, I know a lot of the things I try to talk about on this channel are about the trades and about work, but a lot of it too, I try to wrap into life skills, just because I'm not saying I have it all together. Like, I don't have it all together. I'm still learning. But as I learn things or as I notice things, I try to share it with y'all too, so that you can pick up on the same thing. And maybe it's some things that some of you guys already know. Maybe it's some new thinking to some of you guys. Like, it is what it is. I'm just putting it out there. For me, I just kind of feel like every time I learn something new, man, it gets me super excited. Like, I'm just happy to be learning something and seeing progress. Like that's probably the key to happiness for me. As long as I'm making some kind of progress, man, I'm happy. But when I feel like I'm flatlining and there ain't nothing happening, that's when I kind of start questioning. So I don't know how that can be applied. It's just something, food for thought, I guess. I don't know exactly directions on how to apply being more confident if you're not confident, but you always got to think about what you're comfortable with, and sometimes you just got to pull the trigger on things, man. Like for instance, one of my buddies, he's been talking about trying to get a house, and he knows I bought a house a while back. He's really indecisive. Like he's not sure what he wants to do career-wise, and I tried to get him to come in and put an application for the pipe fitters, and he put in an application, but then at the last minute he didn't show up for his interview, and he keeps thinking maybe he wants to be an electrician, maybe he wants to do a pipe fitter, maybe he wants to do this, maybe, and it's like he's never making a solid choice. Now this is a good guy. He's got his life together. He's doing all right. He's got a lot of options. He's a little bit younger than me, but sometimes you just gotta make a plan and stick with it, and you're not going to necessarily know how it turns out, and you just got to make it work from there. Like when I bought my house, I didn't know what I was doing. I just I was looking on Zillow, looking at houses. My lease was coming up in my apartment. At the time there was riots in Minneapolis and stuff, and so the crime was kind of getting out of control. So at the apartment we didn't have no garage or nothing, and there's people burning down gas stations and burning all kinds of stuff up. I don't know, maybe some of y'all seen it in the news. Minneapolis got wild for a while. But I was sick of it. I'm like, man, I got to get somewhere where I can put my car in the garage. Like, I ain't trying to come out to go to work one of these days. My car's all burnt up or the catalytic converter stolen or something. So I just started looking at houses on Zillow, wondering if I could afford it. And I seen an ad in there from one of the mortgage guys that was saying that he would answer questions if anybody had questions. So I was like, okay. So I just sent him an email like, hey, this is my situation. I'm kind of wondering, like, what I've never bought a house for. I'm kind of wondering what the first steps are, how you go about even buying a house. Like, I didn't even know the first step. Turned out that was the right step to make. Like, you call a mortgage guy and they can get you pre-approved, yada, yada, yada. They do most of the work. So I got lucky in that. Like, but I didn't know what I was doing. It was kind of like I just pulled the trigger on it, and I wasn't even, when I called that guy, I wasn't even necessarily thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna go get pre-approved for a house. Like, I was just curious on the situation. But once I found out the process and they were like, we can go right now, I was like, let's go. Like, just go. I don't know what's gonna happen, but sometimes you just gotta take decisive actions on things, and that's not necessarily good advice for all things. But if you're trying to make plans but you're never actually taking steps to make them plans come to fruition, sometimes that's what it is, man. You gotta pull the trigger on something. You can't just be indecisive. You gotta make a plan. Sometimes you just gotta pull the trigger and stick with it. That's the same thing with this apprenticeship program. When I was putting in, like, I put in and I didn't know if I was gonna get in, because I'd put in a couple years and I didn't get in. So when they finally called me, I kind of had a good job at the time, and I was like, do I really want to risk this and go try something else? Or even not even just the apprenticeship. Like, when I first got out of prison, my first welding job, I was telling everybody I wanted $20 an hour. Now, a lot of the places up here at the time they were paying people like 18, 19. There were some that were like 20. There were some 21, 22. I figured I was worth 20 just because I knew my work ethic. I knew what I was going to be capable of. So when I went in for the first place that wanted to hire me, they're trying to talk about 18, and we'll talk about 20, 3-4 months down the road. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. And I turned down the first job offer. And that's having a criminal conviction, coming straight out of prison, no work history for years and years. I knew my value. I knew what I was going to be worth. I ended up getting another job. They were like, okay, we'll start you at 19. If it works out for the month, we'll bump you up to 20 next month. So, all right, let's go. I need a job now. So I went and started there, got up to the 20 right away. And I think I worked there only a couple months, and I ended up coming across another job that was offering more money. So that was a little bit scary to be like, okay, I got a job. They gave me what they said they were going to give me, but I have this other opportunity. I could go try and I make more money, but who knows if it's going to turn out or not? Who knows if it's going to be better? I just knew at the time I needed more money, so I went with it. Moved to a different job. Was making more money there. And it kind of progressed like that. I went through several times. Like, I never got fired from any place. I never had an issue. But anytime a better situation would come along, I would make that decision like, okay, this is what I need to do. And I would tell my employer, like, look, here's the situation. I got another opportunity for this much money. If you can match it, I'll stay here. But if not, I got to do what's best for me. And they were all pretty understanding at the time. And that is until I got into the union. The job I was working when I left to come to the union, they were a little upset. But it is what it is. So that's kind of the key point. It's all about, you got to figure out how to be confident and not be indecisive. You got to be able to make a decision, make a plan, and don't just talk about your plans. Don't just talk about your goals. You need to actually take steps to accomplish them, make them happen. Otherwise, it's just a dream. It's just a pipe dream. If you want to turn your dream into reality, it's going to take a little bit of work, and you're going to do some things that's, you don't know how they're going to turn out. They might be a little bit scary, but at the end of the day, you can always go back to what you was doing. I mean, if you're in a situation where you're not 100% happy, but you're not really miserable, like, you can always try something else out. And if that's not for you, man, you can always go back to what you're doing and go back to that same place. There ain't nothing lost in that. So that's just kind of my word, man. If you want to move ahead in life, you got to make plans, and you got to gain that confidence to make decisions and stand on them. And sometimes they're not going to work out the way you thought they were. Sometimes it's going to take a little bit of work to make them work out the way you want them to. I don't know. That's my word. So anyway, I feel like I'm learning stuff here in the trades. I'm proud to be a pipe fitter, proud to be in the situation I'm at. I'm hoping that more people, I had a guy the other day message me on one of my videos. He told me about getting into the plumbers. I try to give him as much information as possible. I really honestly do think that this is a positive career path. Not just pipe fitting, plumbing, electrician, all the different trades. They're all really good career paths. Even the laborers, they kind of get overlooked, but I've heard a lot about how they have a fully funded pension because they got a lot of college guys will start out, they'll go do some work for the laborers, and then they'll go back to college. Well, they don't get their pensions vested because you have to, I think, complete your apprenticeship to get vested. So all that money that they pay in when they don't get vested, that stays in the pension fund. So the guys that do stay in and they do retire, they got fully funded pensions. So something to think about, man. I just want everybody to do good. I'm trying to put out information that I think will be helpful to people. And I'm probably not the most interesting, probably not the most, I don't have the best way of talking, but whatever it is, what it is, I'm just a regular person. So hope that you guys are having a good day out there. Hopefully everybody's out there winning. Everybody out there be confident. How about drink this Monster and bundle up for the cold. Have a good day, everybody.